There's a lot more to get into as well, but look, there is only one place to start, the chaotic, last gasp VAR drama at Anfield, the huge talking point as far as the rules are concerned. Manchester City scored a third goal. It was reviewed by VAR. The goal was ruled out. Szoboszlai sent off, a free kick given. Dermot, why wouldn't you just let the goal stand? Come on, common sense.
Do you want to have your rant and then I'll bring a bit of sanity back to it?
No, you go first. You go first.
Can we play it? I'll show you.
Go on.
It's really, really intriguing. Because,
let it roll.
If you watch here, watch the referee. There's a foul. He sees that. He lets play go on because he thinks it's going to be a goal. But as you see, Szoboszlai gets fouled. Certainly gets fouled. And because he gets fouled, this is it. The referee, he sees this one, he lets it go on. But he doesn't see this one because O'Reilly, I think it is in his way, blocks his path. But there's the foul. Let it go on. Szoboszlai gets in front. There's the second foul. Without doubt, Szoboszlai will argue like mad that he's fouled. He will want a free kick. And that's why it is, because the VAR points out to the referee, well, you can't give a goal because Szoboszlai's fouled. You can go back further because there's the original foul, and the original foul stops Haaland having a goal-scoring opportunity, so it's a red card.
Listen, like Derm said there, like Gary Neville said there, it didn't change. There was no change of the outcome. Man City were already winning, right? Now, obviously, you've seen Haaland get pulled back initially. The ball's going and got. I'm not even sure Szoboszlai can stop the ball from going in. So, again, like most people think, they should have just let it go, because the only person that's got punished here is Liverpool and Szoboszlai, because he's going to miss a game now. I think everyone, the game was a great game anyway. They just could have let this go. Yes, it's a foul, he's pulled him back, but I'm really not sure he would get there. Maybe he would, but because it didn't change the state of the game, just let it go.
The confusing thing is as well, look, how can it be denying of a goal-scoring opportunity because a goal is scored, Dermot?
Well,
that's the thing.
He denied Haaland, didn't he? It was actually Cherki. That's what people forget. It was Cherki who shot. Haaland. It wasn't Haaland who shot there. It was Cherki in his own half. But he denies Haaland, doesn't he? Because Haaland's on the run. He pulls Haaland back. But I feel for the referee in this situation, honestly, because, as I say, because he arcs his run, O'Reilly gets his way. He doesn't see the second foul. If he just saw the second foul and blown, which he didn't see the foul, if he sees that and blows, the ball's not gone in the net. They go back and send Haaland off. It's job done. But unfortunately, Nico O'Reilly comes across him. He doesn't see that. And we had this situation where it ends up in the net. Szoboszlai is fouled. There's no doubt about that. And you have to default back to the original.
As well, do you know what gave it away as well? I don't know if we can bring it back, but it was Szoboszlai's reaction to the whole situation.
100%.
He was just laughing. He's like, just let it go. Himself, it just looked like, just let the goal happen. Yeah, again, foul there. Haaland's fouled him back. The goal could have gone in, but when you see his reaction of getting the red card, he's got a smile on his face. He's laughing like, what's football come to? No one wants to see this. But listen,
you would fancy him to get back there, wouldn't you? Because he's dragged back there.
Yeah, I mean, listen, but it's not. I'm not 100% sure he's going to get it.
No, but he stands a good chance.
He stands a good chance. He stands a good chance. But I mean, listen, like I said, the state of the game isn't going to be changed by that.
Why doesn't the advantage last?
Look. This is what I mean. Like, he's looking at it. Haaland's even gone to the referee saying, "Listen, do you really need to send him off?"
He's actually gone and said, "It's my goal."
Yeah, I suppose there is that. Look, the aim of these decisions. Look, this is to get the right and fair outcome. Could football maybe learn from rugby here? Maybe bring in a deliberate action preventing a try means a penalty try is awarded. What do you reckon?
I mean, I don't watch. Sorry, Hayley, I got no idea about rugby. But if that means just let it go, right, for the penalty goal, is that what you're trying to say?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Then I think it's common sense. Just let it go, because the goal was going to happen, and it would have stopped Szoboszlai getting a red card. We know the rules are the rules. We know that. Let me just say that the rules are the rules, and I know that's what you're going to say.
No.
And I know that's. I mean. But sometimes you look at situations like that and you just say common sense. But then, off air, we was talking about it. to some of our colleagues, and they were saying that if that goal is given, and at the end of the season, it comes down to goal difference, you know, obviously, you know, whoever's at the top and whoever's going for the league, maybe Arsenal, are going to look back at this and say, that shouldn't be given.
I think the one good thing that come out of it, though, with the goal being disallowed, it didn't affect the result. You know.
It didn't, but had it have affected the result, what would the reaction been from City? It could have been 1-1. City were denied the goal. Look, huge implications for the title race.
Yeah, then it would have been a real big problem. It would have been a real big problem because, again, I mean, we're going back to it. I keep alluding to it. It just didn't need to go this way. I know what you always say. No. You don't like to do ifs. We don't like to do ifs, so let's just keep it simple. The game was 2-1 in the end. It went the right way. I think the better team won in the end, but this whole situation did not need to happen.
End of.
Yeah. Isn't that right? Isn't that right, Domes? That's what you're going to say. That's what it all comes down to at the end of the day.
I felt for the ref, honestly, because I can imagine that if he'd have given a goal there, Szoboszlai and his colleagues would have been jumping all over the ref.
I don't think they would have, because it's still 2-1.
Well, he was up like a rocket, wasn't he, saying I've been fouled?
Until he realised he was going to get a red card.
Well, that is a great... I always thought I was a great diffuser when a red card comes out.
Look, Arne Slot as well, he directly criticised the PGMO for the decision not to send Mark Gahey off. Having a look at this, he was booked for pulling Mo Salah's shirt. VAR said he didn't deny him an obvious goal-scoring opportunity. So, Dermot, is this where the word obvious in denying that comes into play?
Yeah, I think this is possible, Hayley. I think it's not obvious, and that's why it goes from a red card to a yellow card. It's a foul. It's also outside the penalty area. I actually think Mo Salah's quite happy to receive the foul. You know, he goes down. Diaz is coming across. Diaz is very, very fast. He's coming across. You see his arc in his run. So I think it goes from obvious to possible, and that's why a yellow card's produced and not a red.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And when you look at Salah as well, he's turned. He could have been stronger. He could have stayed on his feet. I think Salah thought that he was actually in the penalty area, and that's why he went down easily. But like Dermot said there, I think Diaz would have come over. He would have slid, and then, like you said, it's a possible goal-scoring opportunity. It's not obvious. And to be honest, knowing the way Salah plays, I think he probably would have took a touch inside and then tried to finish it. But I think it's the right outcome. I don't think that's an obvious goal-scoring opportunity.
Right. Let's look at a foul that led to Manchester City's penalty then. Alisson brought down Matheus Nunes. The ball's out of play before he hits the ground. What does the referee consider in this case? Come on, Dermot.
Well, it's foul. I don't even think Alisson has to make this challenge, to be honest, because I think the ball will run away. I don't think he'll get that ball. Yeah. But it's a foul. And if you look, the ball's in play when he commits that foul. And that's the key thing. If the ball's out of play, he can't give a penalty, but the ball is in play. It's out of play when he hits the ground, but it's in play when he's taken out.
Yeah, I completely agree. Alisson didn't need to make that challenge at all. And you would think a player of his experience, he would just kind of, even if he comes out and just like shepherds the ball out, he didn't need to go down to the deck. I don't think Nunes was even going to get there. It's a poor decision from Alisson, but it's the right decision from the officials. It was definitely a penalty.
The goal at the end that was, I don't think Erling Haaland scored. I think it's Cherky actually.
It's Cherky's goal, yeah.
Yeah, Cherky kicked it, didn't he? And then there was the wrestle between Szoboszlai first on Haaland and then Haaland on Szoboszlai. Look, we know that the referee and the VAR officials have got to the right conclusion. But if you're in the camp of VAR's ruining football and VAR takes the joy out of the game and it's taken away the entertainment, that has just been one of the best bits of evidence that you'll possibly want, because that was a great football moment in a season where you just got absolute bedlam at the end of a game, players fouling each other, the ball dribbling in the net, a team coming from 1-0 down that have hardly ever won here and basically going winning 3-1. You know, fans celebrating with the players on the pitch. There was a little bit of a mini invasion from a couple of City fans. It's the classic sort of English football moment, isn't it, in a season where you think, if you look back at the end and City were to start of narrowing the gap on Arsenal, you'd look at that moment there as being the celebration, the moment. I think 10 City players on the bench ran over and celebrated with Haaland. So Yeah, it was just felt like a golden moment that basically is taken away from the game. Liverpool fans didn't particularly want it at that point. They knew the game had gone. Szoboszlai now gets a red card, so he's off and doesn't play next week. So yeah, no one wins, I think. But look, if I'm being cold about it, the referee, VAR officials have got to the right decision, but something didn't smell right about it at all. They didn't need to intervene. And I'm not saying that you can be subjective about when you intervene in the emotion of a football match. You've got to apply the rules and the laws, else we'd go crazy, wouldn't we? And if that had been 0-0, we'd have said absolutely make sure you make the right decision. But at that moment, it just didn't feel...
It's just about calming down after what Gary rightly described as bedlam. This is the Gary Neville podcast. So, Gary, I'm going to ask you to try and somehow rationalise the bedlam we've just seen in terms both of the title race, of the piece of theatre we've just enjoyed together, and of course all of the contentious issues that go around it. Where do you want to start?
Oh, let's start with the title race, because that's the thing. I mean, a number of people leading up to today's match in the studio before the match, I think Roy Keane, I think Daniel Sturridge, Jamie Carragher, Micah Richards all said that if Liverpool beat City here today, then it's title done, Arsenal have won it. Maybe I didn't go that far in the interviews that I did with Sky Sports News, but you knew full well that it was going to be a big problem being 9 points behind. The way in which Arsenal looked, they looked so solid. And nothing changes that actually in this result here. But what does change the title race is the pressure that the team behind you applies, as it does get more nervy going into March and April. And if you've got 9 points to play with, it's a lot better than 6. I have to say that City have a big chance. They have a big chance to go and put some pressure on a team that have not won a title before. Not one Arsenal player really has got the experience of winning Premier League titles, and the manager hasn't either directly. So I think from that point of view, it's an unbelievable opportunity for City to beat Fulham on Wednesday night. That becomes critical now for City, to go and beat Fulham on Wednesday night and go to within 3 points. Arsenal play away at an informed Brentford on Thursday. Now, I think Arsenal will win. I think Arsenal are a stronger side. But if you just want to keep asking questions, you've just got to be on the shoulder and just keep poking them and just letting them know that you're there. You can't poke people if you're too far behind them. So just letting them know that you're there and putting them under pressure. And with 7 or 8 games to go, if they can be within 3, 4, 5, 6 points, it will cause Arsenal some problems. And there is a game at the Etihad where Arsenal have got to go there. So look, that was monumental, that last 5-10 minutes for Manchester City in respect of keeping pressure on Arsenal, for them to... It's almost like they've not wanted to get involved in a title race. This last few weeks, they've won 1 in 6. I mean, last week at Tottenham, you're like, go and kill them off in the first half. They go 2-0 up and then they let Tottenham back in it. I mean, it's madness, absolute madness, some of the things that we've seen from City in this last few weeks when you think of the experience that they have. And it's almost like a case of wake up. And there was a moment in that second half when Pep Guardiola started to get lower and lower in his manager's seat. And that was at 0-0. And then obviously as soon as the goal goes, he thinks, here we go, I'm here again. I'm at Anfield. I just can't win a game here, hardly. He's won 1 in 10. City have won 3 here in 53, which is just incredible. And you said they've never done the double over them since 1937. I mean, that is absolute madness when you think about it. So, look, what's just happened... We've had a couple of really big Super Sundays recently. The United-Arsenal one felt big a couple of weeks ago, and this one feels really big today. I do want to mention the goal at the end that was... I don't think Erling Haaland scored. I think it's Cherky, actually.
It's Cherky's goal, yeah.
Yeah, Cherky kicked it, didn't he? And then there was the wrestle between Szoboszlai first on Haaland and then Haaland on Szoboszlai. Look, we know that the referee and the VAR officials have got to the right conclusion. But if you're in the camp of VAR's ruining football and VAR takes the joy out of the game and it's taken away the entertainment, that has just been one of the best bits of evidence that you'll possibly want, because that was a great football moment in a season where you just got absolute bedlam at the end of a game, players fouling each other, the ball dribbling in the net, a team coming from 1-0 down that have hardly ever won here and basically going winning 3-1. You know, fans celebrating with the players on the pitch. There was a little bit of a mini invasion from a couple of City fans. It's the classic sort of English football moment, isn't it, in a season where you think, if you look back at the end and City were to start narrowing the gap on Arsenal, you'd look at that moment there as being the celebration, the moment. I think 10 City players on the bench ran over and celebrated with Haaland. So Yeah, it was just felt like a golden moment that basically is taken away from the game. Liverpool fans didn't particularly want it at that point. They knew the game had gone. Szoboszlai now gets a red card, so he's off and doesn't play next week. So yeah, no one wins, I think. But look, if I'm being cold about it, the referee, VAR officials have got to the right decision, but something didn't smell right about it at all. They didn't need to intervene. And I'm not saying that you can be subjective about when you intervene in the emotion of a football match. You've got to apply the rules and the laws, or else we'd go crazy, wouldn't we? And if that had been 0-0, we'd have said absolutely make sure you make the right decision. But at that moment, it just didn't feel right. But that aside, we'll not go on about that too long. That is a big, big win for Manchester City. At a point whereby in that second half, they were sort of looked like they were down in the dumps.
I mean, some of the great moments of the game.
With the fact, although I don't like it, that the referee follows the rule book, and Dominic makes a foul on Haaland in that last situation, which is a clear shirt pull, and he was through to goal, so he would have scored. So that's a red card. And I think the Sunderland manager is really happy that he gives the red card. So that's the rule book, and you follow the rule book. And if you follow the rule book, and you have a clear shirt pull from Gueye and Mo Salah, who's for 8 years scoring that ball, every single time, 100 out of 100 times he scores that goal, a bit exaggerated, and that is not a red card, then there is more of my frustration.